What's going on, guys? Yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel. And yeah, as you can see, I'm late night coding. Yeah. Um, so let's jump right into it. As the title of this video has already pointed out, as backend engineers, we want to build with um the API consumers in mind, right? And by API consumers, I mean the front end engineers, the mobile developers, and any other API consumer, you know, um, there is, right? And it's, I mean, through my experience as a backend developer, I've learned this lesson, and it's just this lesson is just around ensuring that when, say, a front end developer wants to consume your API, it's easier for him or her, you know. It's easier. If you, trust me, the front end developers want us to like make their API integration way seamless. You know, and it makes them so happy. I mean, I've had like experiences with them. You know, and when it's very seamless to consume your API, they speak highly of you as a backend engineer. You're like, oh yeah, I consume his API in record time. You know, stuff like that. All right, so as backend engineers, we just don't want to build the APIs. Without thinking beyond ourselves, right? Without thinking beyond our scope, sort of, right? We want to, or without limiting our scope, right? You need to understand that these APIs are not just going to be dumped. Like these APIs would be consumed by other professionals, right? For the software to be complete, of course, right? So you want to do your best you want to put in that effort, to that mental effort and that physical effort and whatever, right? To build these APIs with um, the consumers, as I'll call them, in mind, right? So I'll give two instances to buttress this tip, right? So yeah, I have my VS Code open already, you know, and so I'll just use. So let's jump to this instance, right? So let's say as a backend engineer, you're tasked with writing an API that would serve these bar charts right here, right? So we have like the bar chart is amount, of course, the amount with currency here, against months of the year, right? So yeah, so you want to build an API that would serve this bar chart, right? I mean, doesn't look hard. As long as you have this data stored on the database, right? However, like you need to, there are many ways you can, or maybe not many, but of course there are a couple of ways that you can serve. You can structure say JSON response of these API, right? But of course, when building this, you want to be like, so what way can I build this API that would make it quite seamless and very easy for the consumers to be able to integrate these API to their to their views, or yeah. When you ask yourself this question, right, how can I make it easier, right? So of course, you've triggered this thinking process, right? So, and if you stay on that thinking process, you would trust me, I mean you would deliver a much better API, right? So I'm going to just um drop a tip on how easy you can, on more like a very nice way to return to structure this response, right? To ensure that it is seamless for the consumers to to integrate. Um, so I will be focusing on the amount here. So I'll just quickly give a sample of how these amounts can be returned to the client, to the consumers rather, for seamless integration. So let's switch back here to my IDE. So I'll just quickly jump to this, right? So um, yeah, right. Um, so let's do this, right? I want to like go like this, say something like this, right? Um, oh, okay, forgot to write that um, function right there. Alright, so bar chart, let me see, bar chart API. Alright, so let's take this response in there. Right, so that's the success. Status, I like to use a boolean, but that's not important right now. However, let me just put in there. Let's just say success because it's not really important right now. Um, so yes, to what's important, data, right? So I want to go like this. Let's wrap this in an array. All right. So let me quickly switch back to this. Right. So to save this amount, you see the value, yeah, essentially. Then you see the currency here. If your ID is like mine, I don't think you will be able to type this Naira sign on your ID, right? So okay, first of all, let me just demo how you can one difficult way of returning this, right? Then I will now show you a much better way of returning this data. So for the amount, you can do something like this. Let's say 1 million. Yeah. So of course this is a valid way, yeah, of returning this data, right? So you have the amount key, and then you have like the currency, and then the the rest of the amount. Yeah. But then, I mean, for the consumers to actually consume this, of course, they will need to. So for them to actually map the NGN to this Naira, of course, they will need to sort of like split the string into two parts, right? Split this out for them to use whatever library that they will use to switch to map this NGN to like the respective um, Naira symbol, right? That's one. Then that's one task for them. Then secondly, they'll need to, of course, um, convert this value, this 1 million here to an integer, right? To be able to plot this graph really well, right? Because of course this graph can have like static values here. The values here will be decided by the, well, like of course the total amount returned in the API response, right? And of course the list, which I mean on the list amount, right? So those values will determine this bar chart this x-axis of this bar chart right here. So of course that's why they will need integers, right? But of course, as you can see here, I'm playing a string. So I mean that of course makes them that was I mean due to this they need to like carry out some functions to be able to plot that bar chart effectively. Now compare this response to this one. So I'll just clear this. Okay, oh sorry about that. So here we have like ngn and we have like bam. Compare that to this, right? So here we have the currency field separate from the actual amount, right? So with this, of course, our consumers can just map this value to the respective symbol, right, without splitting anything or any extra work, right? And with this amount, it's an integer already, so they can easily plot the bar chart, right? I mean, of course, you might be like, oh, I mean, this is simple. Are you sure it is simple? Right? I mean, so that effort to think about this, that extra effort to, you know, just to just to ensure that our consumers can, like enjoy the job, right? A seamless experience for them. I mean, it means a lot. Trust me. I mean, as I've said, I've had conversations with these API consumers, and they just wish we can deliver such APIs to them to just make their work a whole lot easier. Even if I mean, of course, less typing. I mean, ensuring they can code less, type less, is a valid contribution to their API integration. So I mean, I just thought it's cool to share this with you guys, right? Yeah. Right. So I mean, that's all for now, and this is just one of the examples, right? I mean, I'm sure in your experience, the more you think like this, right? I'm sure you would see even other, maybe more significant ways to ensure that our consumers, have a seamless experience. Basically, that's all for now. Um, Subscribe to my channel if you want more of such tips, and yeah, just subscribe and hit the like button if you learned anything at all, and if you enjoyed yourself while learning to. Yeah, and yeah, that's all for now. So I'll just head back to my code night. Bye, guys.